Welcome back. It's time for Media Watch on France 24. Look at the top stories in the international press. And James Creedon has the lowdown this evening. Good evening.
Good evening, Nana.
And we start with an outpouring of reactions online after the death of pop star Whitney Houston at the weekend. Lots of sensationalism there and really a huge curiosity to find out what exactly was the cause of the death.
What really happened, exactly. And let's take a look at some of the showbiz websites because they are the chief suspects when it comes to, I suppose, jumping to conclusions quickly or trying to infer what really happened. So let's take a look at TMZ website, tmz.com. Whitney Houston's final meal. So you can see here Heineken champagne. It mightn't really be that surprising that you would have an alcoholic drink with your beverage in a hotel, but of course the inference is that it was excessive and that it might have led to whatever happened. The bathroom here as well, photos of inside the bathroom in that hotel
that's
suite.
almost disturbing, the level of intimacy in these pictures.
Those pictures are already available on those kind of websites. So how they got their hands on those photos, I don't know, but they're up online. The Daily Mail website, quick to judge as well. Doomed to self-destruct, they say. No one could save Whitney Houston, and who sought oblivion in crack cocaine. The opposite, actually, in the headline of the Daily Mirror. Whitney Houston was winning that battle against drugs hell. So I think you can see there.
So the question is basically, was she doing better or not at all?
Right. I don't think anyone really knows, but they're quick to jump to conclusions. And there is a lot of speculation too about the fact that she was sweating after a performance in the days previous to her death. That there was a little speck of blood on the back of her leg. What does that really tell us? Nothing. She had been singing on stage, so it might have been the sweat might simply have been down to that. But people are very quick to jump to conclusions.
There's also been a scramble to look back on Whitney Houston at her best.
That's right. Let's take a look at these pictures, Lana, and I suppose across social media and across the media in general, people have been there have been clips appearing online of Whitney Houston with her stripped back, isolated vocals on such and such a track. This clip from the 1991 Super Bowl in the US, January 27th, 1991. Many seem to think that this is her really at her best. And I suppose that song, The Star-Spangled Banner, is one that many artists tried to put their personal spin on, and she certainly did a good job at that in 1991, and that's being put forward as one of her best moments. This is at a Prince concert in 2009, the opposite end of the spectrum. These sort of pictures are also being put up on social media and across the media. People saying, look, this is the example, this is the ultimate example of an artist who was extremely self-destructive. She appeared on stage with another artist. Clearly she wasn't compos mentis in that moment. And Prince actually tried to get her off stage. You can see towards the end of that clip, he was clapping to
trying
get her.
to walk her away.
Exactly.
That's terrible. I have to admit, I'm happier watching those earlier clips.
Right. And just to give you one more example, Anna, of the level of detail that we're seeing here, you've got the music critic for the LA Times who's saying her tone in I and in the word you in the song I Will Always Love You is what she will kind of be remembered for as her greatest moments, and not the always, not the the will, but the I and the you.
Precisely.
He says that she was able to sit, to hold the note for about 3-4 seconds longer than a normal person would, and in a perfectly relaxed manner, and that she, in those 2 words across the 4 minutes of the song, expressed about 3 or 4 different emotions, and that the I suppose brilliance of Whitney Houston was visible in those 2 words.
I have to say
that
I is in everyone's heads, isn't it? It's been on everyone's
minds. One of those
minds.
emblematic songs we'll all remember.
Many in the press are also talking about just how many stars recently have died from drug overdoses.
That's right. The name, in particular, people are talking about accidental prescription drug overdoses. Now, we hasten to add, we don't know that was the cause of Whitney Houston's death, but Heath Ledger is being mentioned, Michael Jackson is being mentioned, a whole host of stars who have fallen victim to these tragic, I suppose, ends. So it is quite sad.
Moving on to another topic, here in France, a town right near Paris is building a statue of Carla Bruni. Now, she's France's first lady, of course, but why a statue?
Right, well, this is a pretty bizarre story, and Le Parisien has it here. La statue de Carla qui fait jaser, which is creating a certain amount of controversy. It's also been picked up in the Daily Beast, where they're saying that she's been caught in the politics of this Labour statue. Now, it's at a feather factory in Nogent-sur-Marne, which has since closed. This is a town in the Paris suburbs. And the whole idea is that the statue, which was mainly worked by Italian immigrants, labourers coming from Italy, who used feathers for the fashion industry, that Carla Bruni, as an Italian, as a woman of Italian descent, would be an appropriate symbol for a statue to commemorate this particular factory. Now, others are quite cynical about that. You can see various tweets here. This is in Le Nouvel Observateur. Is she an appropriate symbol for a sort of a labour image, for a working woman? You know, this is a lady who has had a very privileged lifestyle. Is she really the most appropriate symbol? Some people saying perhaps not. And
some have their
indeed,
doubts.
right, model turned singer turned first lady turned a symbol of the migrant labour movement? Perhaps not. Now, there's just one more thing I want to speak about very briefly, returning to Whitney Houston. This is something we're going to see a controversy sparking in the next couple of days. Did Sony spike the price of the songs on iTunes in the hours after her death? Some say they did by up to 70%.
So literally trying to make money off of
her death.
Off of her
Right.
death.
It's appalling stuff if it's true.
We'll keep following that story. James Creedon, thanks
Thanks,
very
Lana.
much for being with us.